Hey guys, Vengeful Shadows here, and today I wanted to do a quick ban list prediction for everyone. I know it's getting to that time where the ban list is going to be coming out soon, and we just had all the reprints come out with the Megatins and the gold and everything, so it's getting to that time. Everyone's buying their cards, getting their decks prepared just for the ban list to come in and destroy everything that they love, Gotta love it. It's that time of year again. So, we've been looking around. If you've been, taking a look on YouTube and such, there's a bunch of predictions out right now, especially for this format. There's a few cards that are kind of like sore thumbs in the format, and a few other cards that I think other people kind of have a little hate towards that it will probably be sticking around in the format, as well as a few decks that kind of need to be touched up with the ban list. And I think Konami will probably make an effort this ban list round to kind of support some of the decks that are lacking. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay. And just to start things off, we're going to go kind of in the opposite order from unlimited first down to banned, okay? So, one of the cards I think we're going to be getting back 2-3 easily will be a Skull Crobat Joker, okay? And this is one that, if I'm correct, went over to 3 over in the OCG, and the Magician Pendulum deck was super crazy when it came out over here, at least with the second structure deck where Skull Crobat was printed in. So pendulums came out, they were super insane. I ran Apex Pendulum, so I was in love with that deck. But they ran a little rampant. Pendulums got nerfed, pendulums got limited, and then the Master Rule came out. So you see a lot of the older pendulum stuff still very much limited, while they probably do not need to be, because it's a consistent deck. You can pretty much add any of the pendulums to your hand, but a lot of them have to send themselves to the extra deck to get their effects off, and then once they're in the extra deck, you can only summon 1 to 2 back. It's not like the old pendulums where you can fill up the extra deck, and then you have a monster choice of 5 from any of those to summon back, when you had like a choice of 10 cards. It was nuts. But now, since the format has gone away from pendulum control so hard, I think Crobat Joker will be seeing a put back to 3. And I think that'll, I don't know if it'll even do much with the deck. It's at 2, and I'm not seeing like a ton of people play it. But once we get that new pendulum support and the new link, it'll be interesting to see how Skull Crobat Joker actually plays. Okay. And another card I think could go to 3. And this is one that could maybe get me a little yelled at, but that's fine. That'd be Scapegoat. Once again, I'm pretty sure OCG just unrestricted it as well. Card was insane when it first came out. Links, I don't think Konami really understood how free links were going to be. So you could just activate Scapegoat during the end phase, summon out tokens, link off the tokens into the spiders and such, and then you can link multiple links into the links that take effect monsters, thus making a Scapegoat be able to 1-card combo into multiple links. And it still can. It's just the fact that right now, people's extra decks are so limited, and any of the meta decks extra decks are very limited, okay? Because right now you either have decks that so overly perform in the extra deck that they're just airtight, okay? And then you have other decks that have no extra deck care at all, and they run extravagance. So Scapegoat's going to pretty much not fit with either of those builds. You're going to see decks that will play Scapegoat and have to have an extra deck kind of built around outing the Scapegoat tokens to get into links, to use the links as link material for more links, which Scapegoat can do. But again, it takes so many resources out of the extra deck, and then one break into that combo and you're done. And then again, you can't do it on the same turn you Scapegoat. You have to Scapegoat during their end phase to even summon out these 4 monsters. So you're talking about a turn 3 combo play, okay? Which is very hard to do in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not impossible. And the slower the format, the more available that becomes. But at the same time, the slower the format. So I think Scapegoat could go from 3 or from 1 to 3, and we would just see a bunch of prices going up and stuff. But I don't think we would necessarily see people start main decking Scapegoat to be teched in some stuff, but it wouldn't be in these meta decks like Sword Soul and the Destiny Hero decks, things like that. So both those I think could easily go to 3. And before we go on, I kind of want to make a statement. I kind of wish I would done at the very beginning of the video, but it kind of is pertaining to like Skull Crobat and a few other things. So, thing to keep in mind with these ban lists is this is not necessarily like what I want, and it's not necessarily what I think would be like the healthiest for the game. But Konami likes to make ban lists like not only as a way to like balance out the meta and keep strong decks in check, but Konami also uses the ban list to integrate from one format to another smoothly, and then like you do that by restricting resources to decks while increasing them to like other decks that they want to see more in the future. And you can actually kind of tell what kind of cards are to be released based off of like changes they make to their ban lists, as well as you can tell vice versa what kind of changes will be coming to the ban list based off of cards that they have released and leaked and stuff, okay? And like I said, that's why we're seeing Skull Crobat Joker probably going to be going back up to 3, because we have the like Beyond the Pendulum link coming back. So they are trying to keep Pendulum like, or make it viable again. Penned best deck, baby. But we're gonna need some work for that to happen without them being too broken but still viable, and that's kind of the middle ground I feel like Konami's trying to get them in. Okay, so again, back to 3. I think it's gonna be Performapal, Skull Crobat Joker, that was bad, and a Scapegoat. And I think those will be going back to 3 soon. Okay, now we're going down to the semi-limited list. Okay, so that is at the 2s. And for that, we're going to be looking, and I'm just going to keep it in here, honestly. So we're going to be doing that. So we're going to be looking at Salamangreats here, and we're going to be looking at this circle, okay? Because Salamangreats, when they first came out, were really insane. They were probably one of the fan favorite decks, I'd like to say, okay? And I think that since they came out, they've been nerfed so many times. There's so many cards at 1-to-1, as well as like just the format itself got better. Okay, like other decks just started performing a little bit better than Salamangreat could, and they were a great control deck. They had a bunch of consistency. I mean, they have that counter track that they can keep recycling. So Circle definitely went to 1, and it slowed down the deck a lot. But now you really don't see people playing Salamangreat unless they were just like Salamangreat fans or just loved the deck. I mean, the deck was cool to play. It's a nice fire deck. And I think we could see Salamangreat Circle going to 2. Okay. And at the end of this video, I'm definitely going to have to go over and tell you which ones I think are in each, but whatever. So I think Salamangreat could definitely go back to 2. Okay. And it would just increase the consistency of the Salamangreat build without making them like break into the meta again as hard as they were. And even with it adding the consistency again, I just feel like other decks are so good, especially with their 1-card combo pieces, that Salamangreats will be good, but just not locked in, like I said, to the format like you see with Sword Soul. Okay. Another card that could definitely be going to 2. And I see people talking about Nessie and stuff, but I think we could definitely see the Snake going up to 2 from 1. Card's insane. It's a very good card. All the dangers got like used to hell when they first came out. They were very abusive. And it's just super good in the Thunder Dragon deck, super good in any of the Monster Mash decks that you saw. All it was dumping a bunch of monsters on the board and linking off into control decks, okay? And then since a bunch of them were limited down, they're just kind of tech as extenders in decks now, such as PK Fire. And I feel like PK Fire does keep seeing a bunch of play in the format, but then, like, as the format gets completed or other people find out, like, more viable decks, you'll see PK Fire start to, again, drop in win-loss ratio and inconsistency, okay? So, I feel like something like Danger Tsukinoko would actually be pretty good coming back to 2. The card itself is super strong, obviously. He gets the summon off when it is discarded, and then, like, so no matter what, he's getting his summon off, and then you get that draw. So it's super good in the rank 3 decks. It's super good in the PK Fire decks, and it is just like a minimal extender in a few of those builds where I feel like it going to 2 isn't going to be as devastating as when they were all at 3. Nessie's still at 2. People were talking about that going to 3, but I definitely think the rank 3 or the level 3 snake going back up to 2 would be better for the decks it's good in, as well as not pushing them over. And like I said, I think we're going to be mainly seeing that in PK Fire, which they've been trying to kind of like keep in the meta, because that is actually like a nice deck for some newer players to play. And then, so this next one going to 2, it's more, I feel like they're going to be moving this card around, and we'll kind of get into why. And I think the next card going to 2, this format, is Upstart Goblin. And a lot of people will say heck no to Upstart Goblin going past 1, which is interesting. Upstart Goblin adds like superb consistency to like any of the 40 card decks that play it, and I want to add like that, emphasize that part of 40 card decks, okay? Because when Upstart first started seeing like a lot of meta play was during the Dragon Ruler format, or right then with Patrick Hoban, and it was essentially taking 37 card decks and letting them run, okay? Because 3 being the Upstart. So people would essentially be playing a 37 card deck, and at max you're increasing your opponent's life points by 3,000. Which at the time wasn't a lot. It was kind of like Dragon Rulers were boot to face, but it was also very much like a semi-control format where like you would lock opponents out of plays, or like you'd set up your plays to where your opponent could only play one way to out it, and then if they outed it, you would like Crimson Blare them to death. Okay, so like there was a lot going on in that format. So like eventually we just saw Upstart, like after that a lot of decks played it, and eventually it went to 1 because a lot of decks, like I said, were just utilizing the 37 card decks using 3 Upstarts, and people just built decks differently back then too. They weren't like they are now. So Upstart's been at 1 for a minute, and then another reason it's been staying down there was when when Sky Strikers came out. Obviously, having extra spells in your graveyard are super good. So having Upstart 1 for 1 draw, and then your opponent just getting 1,000 life points, and then you're setting up for engage. Especially if you could just 2 Upstarts, a 3rd spell, activate engage, add and draw, and then you get another engage. I mean, it definitely let Sky Strikers kind of run rampant, okay? But as, again, we progress into the formats we have been going to now, where you're seeing people tack in hero engines and fusions, and they're running like 3 different archetypes in one deck, a lot of people are already having problems sticking to the 40 card decks, okay? So adding an extra 3 cards for an Upstart, or cutting 3 for 3 Upstart to potentially just give your opponent a plus life points when you're just getting that 1 for 1 that you're probably already going to get from your other cards, I don't think Upstart is as dangerous anymore as it used to be. And I don't even like to say that word because it's just a 1 for 1 your opponent gains 1,000. But I feel like the consistency it adds is nothing compared to like the Prosperities or the cards that already reign in those archetypes that add them, like the Lyrics and stuff. Okay, so I definitely feel like again, Upstart could definitely go to 2, okay? And so all these things right here are 2. So I feel like Salmon Great Circle could go to 2. I feel like the Danger could go to 2. And I feel like Upstart could go to 2. And another thing about Upstart Goblin, and this is what I wanted to say and why I mentioned that earlier, is if I'm correct, in the Gold series or something, one of the new reprint sets we just got had an Upstart Goblin in it as well. So again, you'll see them start to like disperse resources to people or decks, and then a lot of the time that will reflect in the ban list of what is going on. So that is another reason I was already kind of wondering about Upstart, and then that happened with the reprinting of it. So we could definitely see it. The only other card that would be on this caliber that would help would be cards like Into the Void, but I feel like the decks that use Into the Void are so 1 turn heavy, like they don't care about having a second turn. The drawback isn't worth that card compared to a plus 1,000 for an Upstart as far as like an equal trade-off. So I think that's why we would see Upstart over Into the Void going back up, even though Into Void kind of has a steeper requirement, in my opinion. Okay, so again, these are cards I think could go to 2. Okay, just so at 3, we got Skull Crobat, Scapegoat. Then at 2, we would have the Circle, the Snake, and the Upstart Goblin. Okay, so far so good. Next, we're gonna go into the limited, and Konami's weird with the limiteds. I'll be real. They're real interesting. Limited cards are wacky cards. Okay, like Night Assailant, like combo cards. I feel like are very limited. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. These first 2 limiteds, I feel like there's a big consensus going around of like what people feel is like the most oppressive parts of the new decks. Like though, because we got a bunch of Wing Beast decks going around right now. The Leer Lusik, as well as we have the Sword Soul deck, which is very, very, very strong right now. But I feel like both are just super good decks. I mean, what's really strong right now is the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. So I feel like down tuning the decks isn't going to be like too crazy. I feel like they just need a little bit, but I feel like the big slower downer would be something to the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, but I don't think that's going to be happening in this format. Like I said, this isn't what I want. This is what I think should happen. This is what I think will happen. All right, so going to 1. So going to 1 would be the Recital Star Queen, or Starling. Yes, Starling. So, with these right now, they start spamming out rank 1 monsters, okay? Or level 1 monsters, they'll overlay them, they'll hit directly, they'll go into Zeus, and they have a bunch of negates that they're able to pop out real quick with their board. So, Leer Lusik was kind of a deck that I feel like they just, like it was obviously going to be pretty good, but I feel like people really thought Flunder Breeze was gonna be better. Okay. And I don't know, these guys definitely started going in. Like I said, they maintain a good control board. The Bird Call is insane. Honestly, a lot of these cards are insane. And then we got, even just right now, we got that Wing Regretful that just came out. And I haven't even seen people play that yet. And that card's insane. I mean, you just draw 2. So I feel like the Link going to 1 was the optimal play. They go into multiple of these like throughout the turn, and so that they can start stacking the Zeus on it and then using it as like other material as well. So I feel like that's where their the Starling could like go down a little bit, and where the deck can still perform the moves it needs to perform and can still make some of the ending boards it can make. It just isn't like the extra nail in the coffin to the opponent on like a full monster negate board. And once again, like leaving it at 1 still lets plays go through. I still would like to see the deck actually functioning properly, but it's just super consistent with the boards it makes, and you don't really need certain types of monsters. Like all of them will just lead to the same board. So that's why I feel like of all the cards to hit, it'd be that one. And then we got the Tenyi Spirit, and then we got the good one over here, Ashuna. I'm horrible at reading, guys. I want you to know that. And this is just one of the starters or extenders, mainly the starter for some of the Sword Souls. When you control no effect monsters, you can special summon it from the hand, or the summon one, link it into the link, and then they have no effect monsters, you can special summon as well as an extender. And then if you control a face-up non-effect monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one Tenyi monster from your deck. Okay? And then obviously they have the requirements and the restrictions what you can summon, but all these get around it. So Tenyi Spirit, this guy right here, it's, like I said, it's just very good consistency adder to the Sword Soul deck, as well as a pretty nice level, but it's just used to, like, kind of tutor into stuff, as well as a good opening. Putting this down to 1 would lower the consistency of the deck without actually, like, breaking any of the super insane combos it can go into. And it would make it where, like, their extender is actually something they have to think more about and worry more about, and doesn't just immediately have a plus in the grave, okay? So that's why they were talking about the Tenyi Spirit going to 1 in comparison to some of the other cards, because they really just break the deck down if you go after some of them. like some of the spells and some of the monsters that generate the tokens. That's kind of like the deck we want to keep. When some of the Tenyi engine is just kind of extra. It's like, you know, the coating on top. It's the whipped cream and cherry. So by hitting this card down, it will not actually destroy the deck, just like the Link in this. So these two like have been predominant in the formats, and I think they could be toned down just a tiny bit, but it's not, once again, it's very nice seeing them in the format. The big boy doing the damage is the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. The next card I would like to see go to 1 is Left Arm Offering. Now, weird card, okay? And I want to address that this would mainly be to hit mine decks as well, okay? And not the only card I want on the list to hit in the mine deck, okay? So Left Arm Offering, if you have 2 more cards in your hand, bench your entire hand, add 1 spell card from your deck to your hand. You cannot set spells or traps during the turn, you activate this effect. So this is just Sacky card, you get Sacky cards with it. You're running a deck like mine, and this is easily gonna be adding cards to your hand that you would normally not be able to. And for the Final Countdown deck, this is how they add Final Countdown to their hand after establishing a board with mine and the Wobby guy, the Silent Wobby. So they left an offering into the Final Countdown and start the Final Countdown off. So this card is just a free add that like lets you add 1-ubs to your hand, okay? So I could definitely see a Left Arm Offering going to 1 as well, which would decrease the consistency of Final Countdown mine decks greatly. And this, I mean, it will keep them searching for that Final Countdown, and then depending on certain ways they play the deck, they can deck themselves out now, and they will be able to not run the clock on Final Countdown 100% of the time. This will not 100% fix the burn version of the deck, but it will surely hinder the consistency of it, where there will actually be ways for you to just beat it without it killing you. Because with mine, depending how hard they draw at the beginning of the duel, and the placement of their burn / Final Countdown in their deck, you can theoretically beat them with them just decking out or not having the outs, or you doing a little bit more damage, because they can still deck themselves out. They can still run themselves out of resources before they actually kill you in time, okay? And then you'll get a round win, and then you'll be going into a later game where they have to stall again. At least you have a round 1 win to win the match. And I like to look at mine games in match form, because if you look at it in singles, you can't be doing that. But yeah, Left Arm Offering, it's a cool card, but it's played in just Sacky decks. So it going to 1, I wouldn't feel bad to see. Okay. And then this next one, going to 1, is debatable. Very debatable. I think it could go to 1 and everything will be just fine. In fact, I think a lot of decks will be better, and I don't think anything will be broken. But we've been asking a little bit for some of our boys back, and we're talking about the Dragon Rulers, okay? And I want Blaster back, because I'm tired of not having any fire support. So, if everyone's a little hip, we just had like our 1,000 days of no volcanic support or fire support, or decent anything fire support. So people have been raging a little and wanting some fire support back, and I agree. And Blaster, when it got banned, it took a lot of fire decks out with it, okay? Or at least hindered them with the amount of damage output and board control that they have. And then like Blaster's pop in a bunch of fire decks is very nice, being able to send a fire from the hand to the graveyard so you can trigger effects off. Or you can have one in the grave to kind of like, once again, start an engine. And it seems that every deck but fire decks are allowed to do that. So I would really like to see Blaster coming back. It's not going to combo off with the other E-Dragons. I mean, we got Tempest right now, but you're not seeing them play, obviously not play together. Tempest is the only one. But I very much doubt you would see them play together unless it's in like a very interesting Dragon Link deck that can make them consistently run. The other thing about Blaster, too, is it helps, like I said, it helps fire decks out without breaking the engine. And then there were, if I'm correct, like someone mentioned somewhere online, like leaked sleeves. okay? And, like, the past sets, like, people are saying, like, oh, well, when they released this 10 years ago, the next set was all fire. And then, like, some of the sleeves they just released in the OCG apparently are, like, of a fire nature or archetype. I don't know. I'm not, like, guys, this is just rumor AF, okay? I just read something online. I was wondering about it. So I think that'd be cool. Like, it has nothing to do with why I wanted Blaster back, but I think that would definitely be cool to see Blaster coming off the list 2-1, okay? And that would be taking him unbanned. Then the next off would be the banned cards. Now, these are the ones that everyone is definitely looking for, okay? And that right there is number one card that I think everyone wants banned is Imperial Order, okay? And Imperial Order right now is just kind of insane. It's a single-handedly deciding game, and especially after you establish an insane starter board with all traps, Imperial Order is just like super good. You get a board of negates, you get a board of traps, and all of them are insane. You flip up Imperial Order, and now your opponent cannot out anything. All right, and that's just insane. The only thing they have to have a quick play spell card pretty much in hand to out Imperial Order at that moment. All right, pretty nuts. So I think we're going to be seeing Imperial Order number one card right now that is going to be banned, and I think it does deserve it. Now, keep in mind, guys, okay, when Imperial Order gets banned, because I'm very certain it will, you're going to see other cards start taking its place, like Anti-Spell Fragrance, okay? Because decks can still theoretically put up a full negate board and then flip up Anti-Spell during the next turn. And then, yes, you still have access to spells, technically, in, like, 2 turns. But this can go both ways, because, like, with a full board negate and something with, like, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, popping cards that are face down, especially spell cards that are set with anti-spell, become like super good. And I mean, having to put your cards face down for a full turn and not have something happen to them is very dangerous in Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, we don't even bluff anymore because of how much people destroy our stuff, okay? So we're going to see Imperial Order getting banned, and then I think that we'll see Anti-Spell Fragrance kind of seeing itself played a little bit more into the metagame. Not sure if you'll see it mained, but it'll be interesting. And then it'll be indexed for droplets. Could even, like, you know, you could have your droplets set, use anti-spell, and then when it's time for you to turn your stuff back on, if you need to, you can get rid of it. So, cool card with anti-spell. But again, I think we'll be seeing Imperial Order going away, which really, really could happen. The next card I think we'll be seeing, or could see on the list, I would like to see anyways, is, make sure this is the right one. Yeah, Goddess Scold's Oracle. And we got a few of them, so we gotta make sure it's the right one. But it's the Goddess Scold's Oracle. Now, it has to take a drink for a sec after that one. But everyone wants Mystic Mind Ban. A lot of people want Mystic Mind Ban. And I'll be honest, I don't think it should be banned. I think the card is perfect where it's at 3. Okay? Now, mine is a very frustrating card. I understand that. And with some of these cards here, mine decks become very hard to play against. Alright? Now, I feel like if you take mine out of the equation, decks die. They will literally die. And I'm sorry, I don't think we need to be removing tier 3 decks out of the format because they're not fun to play against. That's not fair. Like, because maybe they're having fun. It stinks that you're not, but tier 3 decks don't have fun when tier 1 decks are smacking on them. So it's kind of fair. The things that are not fair are when you get to your opponent's deck every turn. That's not fair, okay? So no matter how many outs you play, you're not going to get them until way later. And because of Goddess Skull's Oracle constantly doing that effect, you can't summon, but it doesn't matter because you're playing mine. I think this card could definitely get banned. No one's really playing Valkyrie. You're not going to see this ruin a deck by going away. It would just decrease the amount of problems mind decks can consistently do to meta decks. Now, you will just have to draw your outs and hope you don't get Solemn Judgmented or bribed, or you can, at that point, save your outs and then play them back to back, just in case they have one out. But Scold's Oracle will not be stacking your deck, ensuring that you don't get them. So, I know people want Mind banned. I think that's horrible for the game. I think mine is actually super healthy. If you want to watch, we got a video for it as well. But I think with left arm going to 1 and Oracle getting banned, mind decks could still play the game. They just won't have full control over the game if they get like a good 5-card setup. They can still be outed. You just have to play more than 2 MST, guys. I promise you it will be okay. But next up, and final one on the ban list would be Artifact Scythe. And again, I feel like this is one that doesn't need a lot of debate. I love this card. I love Scythe. I've loved Scythe since it came out. It is amazing. I've teched this, and I think it is a great card. I do not want it banned forever. Let me go ahead and say that. I think it is a great card. I love it. I will be sad if it gets banned. But unfortunately, looking at what's going on with a Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, Scythe is just too easy to get access to, especially with the Artifact link, and that card just should not get hit by any means. So it's like the potential it has with the Phoenix Destroy guy in 1 turn shuts down an opponent's summoning method while maintaining your own field presence is pretty good. So I think we're going to unfortunately, yet fortunately, see Artifact Scythe get banned. It's a very easy ban. Not a lot of no decks are going to hinder from it going away. Artifacts didn't 100% rely on it. He was just really useful. And as we see, he's just kind of a solo tech right now, if not just him with the Sanctum. But Scythe going away would probably be healthier for the game. It would make the turn ones not as bad. It will make other decks be able to fight going second. And then the other thing, too, is if we see Scythe getting banned, another card we're going to see play in its spot will be Dimensional Barrier. Okay? And the one where you declare Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, and then they can't summon that type for the rest of the turn. So that card is going to be super good. And I'm just going to pull it up so we can actually be showing everyone. You guys probably know what this is. But when Scythe gets banned, I think Dimensional Barrier will be seeing some play. Because you choose Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, or Pendulum. And for the rest of the turn, they play special summon monsters from the declared type. Also negate the effects of all monsters of that type while they're on the field. Insane card. So not only does it keep them from summoning monsters from the extra deck, but they actually negate the monsters' effects on the board. I forgot about that effect, guys. I'm not going to lie. I got out of the game a little bit ago. But card's broken. So I think Dimensional Barrier will be seeing play. It's searchable through Trap Trick. So having an opener with Barrier is going to essentially be the same. Scythe's a little better. I'm going to keep it real. That's why I didn't get Barriers when they were cheaper. But yeah, when Scythe goes out, we'll see Barrier kind of sneak into the metagame a little, I'm sure. So again, guys, that is definitely what I think is going to happen. Some notable cards I wanted to give a shout out to as well is a lot of people have saying they want Pertaplant Anaconda banned. I think it could get banned. I don't think it will be banned in this format. And my opinion on that is I think we have one more format with Anaconda. And because we're going into the branded structure deck soon, they would either remove Anaconda from the metagame, so everyone that wants to fuse has to go to branded, because you don't need Anaconda in branded, I'll be honest. You really don't need it in branded. It's mainly for the Destroy Phoenix Sky attack and for Red Eyes attack, okay? Once you see these branded decks played, they do not need Anaconda. I love Anaconda. I love playing it in my a Ghost Trick deck, so my little mini deck that kind of sucks can go into big boss monsters. It's nice. So I think Anaconda could go one more format without being banned. It just really depends on Konami and where they sit with wanting people to have access to it for another format. And like I said, we're going to go into a branded format. We're literally going to be seeing fusions played everywhere. So it wouldn't surprise me if they keep Anaconda around for another format. But I feel like if it would kind of get hit, it's not going to affect that branded deck as much as it will like the Destroy Feeding Sky and Red Eyes, which might be what they go for. But again, I think we're going to have it one more format. The another card that everyone was kind of talking about, especially in Sword Soul, is the Arc Nemesis. Okay, and keep in mind we got a Protos and Aketos, whatever they are. But everyone wanted Protos kind of banned because he's super good in the Sword Soul deck. He's a worm, special summon by banishing 3 monsters with different attributes from a graveyard or piece up in the field. Cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is super strong. Alright, and then you can declare 1 monster attribute on the field, destroy all monsters on the field with that attribute. Also, until the end of the next turn, neither player can special summon monsters with that attribute. You can only use the effect of Protos once per turn. So, keeps itself alive from card destructions, which is really good. And then it kills attributes. So it's like a 1-turn tribe infecting virus, but you also lock them out of summoning, which is why I think people wanted it banned. Card is super insane. I think it could go to 1 before getting banned, but I'm pretty sure people are only teching 1 at the moment, so it's kind of useless to do that. I think overall, the card is a very good tech that can be played in a bunch of different decks. It's kind of interesting. Sword Soul is the only one using it right now when it could probably be played in other decks. And I don't think it's strong enough right now to warrant a ban, but it's a card to keep an eye on. I love the card. I love both these cards. They're great. These cards like these in Yu-Gi-Oh are just super cool. Big fan of them. So I don't think we'll see them banned. I think they're just something to keep an eye on. And then the other things I want to mention here as well, there was a lot of talk about Thunder Dragon Colossus and Max C kind of coming back. I don't think we're going to see Max C for quite a little bit. I was kind of hopeful for it a few formats ago. Probably won't see it for a little bit until things speed up even more. And then, especially if Mine's in the format, which I love Mine. I don't think we'll see both Max C and Mine in the same format. That'd be interesting. And then, like I said, Thunder Dragon Colossus I think it will come back one time. I don't know if it will be this next format. They might, if they would, it would literally be for the branded deck, but I don't think we're going to be seeing it come back. I think we will in a format or two, just not the one that's about to come up. I think they want to kind of see what they can do with this branded deck before they give us a Colossus on top of it, okay? So guys, again, just to reiterate what everything is, Skull, Crobat, Joker, Scapegoat would be going back to 3. Okay, these are the guys that could be going unlimited. We got going to 2 as the Salamangreat Circle, the Snake guy, who I cannot pronounce, and Upstart Goblin would be going from 1 to 2. And again, they'd be to help Salamangreat, the rank 3 PK fire builds, as well as Sky Strikers, and just kind of random one-off decks. Going to 1 would be the Tenyi Spirit, as well as the Left Arm Offering. And then we have the Lyric, the Recital Starling. These 3 right in here would be going to 1. And then the cards I see... Oh, my bad. And then Blaster would be coming from band to 1. A little band thing messed it up. So going to 1 would be the Tenyi Spirit, the Lyric, the Left Arm Offering, and Blaster. I want Blaster, guys. And then getting banned, obviously, would be Imperial Order, Artifact Scythe, and then Goddess Scold's Oracle. So if you think anything else that should be on the list, definitely leave a comment. Definitely share, and hopefully everyone enjoyed the video. And again, this isn't something I would necessarily want, but I think Konami will be going in this direction. So guys, thank you so much. Hopefully everyone had a great holiday. And you guys have yourself a good new year, okay? Take care.